Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today let's go over a medium level question in the database category that I just solved on my own. So I'm super happy about this and I'm very glad that I was able to come up with my own solution to this question without any assistance. So let's go over it and let me show you how I did it. This is number 3716, find churn risk customers. So basically, we write a solution to find these customers, pretty self-explanatory, hit these 4 points, and then sort by this criteria. So I just like to look at the examples. I found this one was pretty straightforward, so it didn't take me long. Basically, let's go line by line, bullet point by bullet point. So currently have an active subscription. Their last event is not canceled. So last event tells me we have to sort by the event date. So let's first create a default dictive type list. And since we're finding people, users who are churn risk customers, let's use the user ID as the key in the dictionary. So let's call this UID and enumerate subscription events, user ID. So we're looping to this column like this, top to bottom. And then let's go ahead and get all the other information that we need. Let's call this event date, event type, plan name, monthly amount, just so we don't have to type this out again and again. Subscription events, event type of I, subscription events, plan name of I, monthly amount of I. Okay, so now that we have this, we can basically just sort by the, well, first of all, we have to use the UID as the key, and then ED, ET, PN, MA, so just event date, type, name, amount, and then we have to sort by the event date to get the last subscription. So now let's just loop through each user and all their information in this dictionary, so each key value pair. And let's call this now just for simplicity, and let's make sure their last event is not cancel. So the event is going to be the first index because we started here, so 0, 1. So if now of -1 of 1 is not equal to cancel, then we can go ahead and print KDK. So we're just going to filter out conditions one by one. Okay, that already filters out, well, does it? Maybe it doesn't. Okay, filters out 504, so let's keep going. Have performed at least one downgrade in their subscription history. So again, we have to check all the event types. So let's go ahead and say if they provided or they performed a downgrade, let's set this Boolean flag. Let's loop through now. If n of 1 is ever equal to downgrade, then we can just set this equal to true. And we can say n flag, so that takes care of the first 2 points. Okay, so current planned revenue is less than 50% of the historical maximum planned revenue. That one's a little more complicated than this one. Has been a subscriber for at least 60 days. So let's just get the start date and the end date. So the duration is just going to be, so now of -1 of 0. So the last sublist's 0th index minus the first sublist's 0th index, because these are already sorted by date. And we have to turn these into a date time, because I found out that these are actually just strings. So I just casted them like that. And then let's just also do a string dot split of 0. So just making it nice to read. So now, okay, 79, cool. Now we can just say an int duration is bigger than or equal to 60, at least 60, then we can care about it, because the date basically shows the pd.toDate time subtraction difference shows the actual, like the days, and then like the hours, and then the minutes, and then the seconds, something like that as a list. So we just want the 0th index after splitting it because it's like a nice string. Cool. So now, last but not least, current planned revenue less than 50% of historical maximum plan revenue. So what that means, I didn't really understand what that means, so I just looked at this. So basically the last list's last element has to be less than 50% of the maximum maximum of whatever these numbers we can find. So let's call these, or let's call this biggest. So we're just going to say biggest is max of biggest n1, so for, or of n negative 1, so for each one of these. And then let's call this ratio is going to be now negative 1 divided by biggest. So if this ratio is less than 0.5, then we can print these. Okay, cool. So now we want all this information. So let's create a list called answer. And let's append the user ID, the current plan, which is just now, I think it's, let's print K and now. So the current plan, cool. So the last sublist, now negative 1, 2, right? Because 0, 1, 2. So that's the type of plan, basic. And then the current monthly amount is now negative 1, negative 1. Let's just do negative 2 just to say going back. Negative 1, negative 2 in the sublist, the last sublist, just to make it easier to read. And then let's also just do max historical amount, which we already have here conveniently. We already did that. And then the days as subscriber is just conveniently int duration. Cool. So now, last but not least, we have to sort answer by days as subscriber. Let's make sure the indentation is correct. Answer.sort. So days as subscriber, that's going to be the last sublist. So negative x, negative 1, because in descending order. So from biggest to smallest, and then user ID, which is the 0th index in ascending order. So that's the order of priority, this descending, this ascending, those columns. Cool. So now let's go ahead and just gather the results. Make 5 lists for each column. Standard stuff, append each column. We're just creating the result table now. We have all the information we need. And c.append v2, d.append v3, and ve.append v4. Okay, so now let's create an empty data frame, set the user ID equals to A. Let's do this. Equals B, equals C. Current plan. Okay. Current monthly amount, just following like this, going down. Max historical amount, so these are each column in the result. Days as subscriber. Cool. All right, this should be fine. So let's run this. Okay, submit it. And there you go, passes all test cases. So again, I'm super happy that I was able to come up with my own solution to this question without any assistance and solve it completely on my own. So that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.